Or here.
3.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, go for it, Jim.
Yeah, welcome aboard, everybody. We're having our noon meeting today. All right, and we do have a quorum. So with that being said, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the former meeting?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I would accept a motion to approve minutes.
I motion.
Okay, would you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Financial reports.
I gave you a hard copy. Our fund balance is $919,127.02. And we had the following claims to be paid: Gilman's 4602, Gilman's 8335, IMI 3924, Kirby Risk 3,035.50, Stone Municipal $2,600.
The first 4 are for
Market Street.
Market Street.
Market Street. Any other questions concerning financial report? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Hey, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Rosemary. Yes, updates for us, Mr. Mayor?
First thing is April 16th at 4 p.m. We're doing the grand opening for 2nd Street Park.
I saw that was posted to Facebook.
Yep, I just want to make sure everyone knew because RDC helped play a big role in completing that, funding that task. And so if you can come out to that, that'd be a good event.
You said April 16th?
April 16th at 4 p.m. Just explain some of the bills from everything is we got the electric, that's not all the electric, but that is all the conduit. I got the underground in, I've got the meter base set, and I've got the electrical panel set. I've got the ground rods in. I've got some more conduit to run this weekend, and then all of the underground will be done except for we got to drill the lights, but that'll be done. No big deal. Because Paul is supposed to start. I think the weather's going to hold them off. They were wanting to start yesterday or today, so probably next week when Paul gets back in town. But they're going to start on the concrete stage, and then really once they get the stage done, I think the concrete will go next 3 or 4 weeks, be my guess. And then we're going to get the wiring finished up for our first concert. So
Good. Pretty close to completion.
It's moving along pretty quick.
Good.
I have more things happening, but nothing is ready to be discussed right now.
Okay.
We're driving a couple business projects. I know I told you last time I was on hold with TIF and everything, and I'm still on hold with TIF. So I'm trying to figure out other ways to get some stuff done without those economic tools. I'm watching more Senate committee and House committee hearings, and I think every time Rosemary comes over, I got something playing in the background. So I'm just listening to what they're saying. I'm watching a ton of different bills.
Now, if that was me, I'd be asleep.
Well, I got to pay attention to what's being said, what's going on. So we're still watching that. We still don't know what's going to happen with that. So which is why I'm still cautious on doing literally anything right now until I know what those numbers look like. And Adam can confirm this because what I'm concerned about more than anything is what they do. I don't know what the impact's going to be, but they're going to artificially drive that rate down. And if we tie a TIP project or something and they force that rate down, then we're on the hook for that. And I don't want to do a project where we really be not able to afford it.
Right.
So we're still watching. My ears to I think Monday through Thursday is when they're in session. And I listen to them literally about all day long because there's a lot of bills, a lot of things that can impact us, and some good, some bad. So I'm watching a bunch of different bills. Or listening to, I should say.
Oh, good. Anything else for us?
No, nothing I can say right now.
Okay, well, that's understandable.
We've had some people reach out to us and starting some design phase and everything like that, so that's always good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So more growth.
Well, that's understandable. We can't release anything until they say so.
No.
Okay. with the EDG reports. Dan is not with us today, but they are in the process of interviewing, or they're going to be in the process of interviewing potential candidates to fill his position. And he has agreed to stay on until after the new person is hired, to acquaint them with the components of EDG and what he does. So
We appreciate that.
it's okay. But other than that, we have no thanks for EDG. Okay. Adam, you got some news for us?
I do. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Awesome. And just so I can get a lay of the land, do you by chance have a printout of the TIF management
Yes.
report?
Yes, I gave everyone a copy.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and I'll talk through some of the high points, and then I can open it up for any questions and answers as well. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can somebody let me know when they can see this presentation?
We can see it.
You got it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Rosemary. So a couple different things. There are a few different statutory required TIF reports, and the one that you have before you is satisfying actually two. So the April 1st is the fiscal officer report. That's the most usually is the annual financial report of the city. It's available on Gateway. It was posted at the end of February. But for the sake of today's date, we're going to go ahead and also utilize the TIF management report because we're filing it early. Go ahead and satisfy that as well. The state statute for the April 1st actually does not define what that report has to include, but it does define what has to be on the April 15th report. So we're just going to go ahead and all of the information, there's more information in the April 15th report, and we're just presenting that to the board prior to the April 1st deadline to essentially satisfy both code requirements. So this is a PDF of the printout that you have. I'll zoom in to make it a little easier here, and we'll just go section by section. So this is a statutory requirement due by April 15th to Gateway, which I'll show you here in a moment. The City Redevelopment Commission has two active allocation areas, the Wayzata Economic Development Area, or EDA, and the Connorsville Economic Development Area 1. TIF codes are cited there. Both have relevant statutes. They're both primary purposes for economic development. One was established in 2009, and then more recently, the 2024. Currently, the only one that has a known and determined expiration date is the Wayzata TIF, which expires after its debt payoff, which is March 1st, 2034. Talks about the active members. Then we go through, look at fund balances and revenues. So the Wayzata TIF had basically just shy of $364,000, paid out $365,000. Again, this is a economic development project agreement related TIF where 100% of the incremental TIF revenues go to service the Wayzata bonds. So in that case, that's why the revenues and expense are essentially exactly the same. All the revenue that comes in from that Wayzata site goes out to those bondholders via the U.S. Bank trust account. Then when we look at the Connorsville RDC fund, it had just shy of $78,000 in revenues, had expenses of about $851,000. The total expenses there, when we look across all the areas, we had the 2013 debt service, principal and interest. We also had the administrative fees for the Wayzata, other services and charges, and utility fees. So the total spend across all areas, $1,216,236. The microloan outstanding was for $50,000, and that was for the Benzot and Roberts, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Bernzot.
What is it?
Bernzot.
Bernzot. Thank you. Thank you for. And then when we look at fund balances, which would be cash and investments on hand, the Redevelopment Commission ended the year with $718,327 and $8,400 in the Wayzata Allocation Fund. Okay, those agree to the AFR balances as well. There's only one bond outstanding, which is the 2013 Economic Development Revenue Bonds. Again, these are solely repayable from the incremental taxes from the Wayzata allocation area, which is now the Phoenix Connersville Industrial Investor Taxpayer. And in that case, there's no other pledge of the redevelopment or the city on those bonds. They really only get what taxes they pay. In that case, there is $2,527,000 outstanding on those bonds. And again, they mature February 1st, 2034, which if we jump back up, I don't make everybody dizzy, which is right before the expiration date of that TIF area. Coming back down here. And then lastly, when we look at sort of the economic engine for the allocation areas, the oldest area, the Wayzata area, has these several sets of parcels here. No base value. It's all incremental AV, just shy of $9.6 million. And then the newest area, and the larger area, Connersville EDA 1, it has just established. So it had everything as base, and it for the current year does not have any incremental AV. So it'll start to produce incremental AV as projects occur in that area. So let me pause there. Are any questions so far?
Nope. No, guess not. Explaining.
Okay, great. This is the note. I can email this out, or we'll make sure to include it if it's helpful. This is the detail. It's 54 pages long, so I didn't want to overly complicate the report. But this down here where it says see parcel details, and then this is really the behind the scenes. This is all the different tax parcels that ultimately make up whether or not how much is in the base, how much is incremental, how much TIF comes through. So this lets us see sort of a parcel by parcel, address by address contribution to the revenues and assessed values that the Redevelopment Commission monitors. This is an important thing to measure year to year, because what we want to watch for is we want to make sure we know what trends to isolate for. We also want to watch for something called decrement, which are parcels that had a base that then have a lower assessed value than they were originally based at. So the TIF management report is interesting in that it is, all the redevelopment commissions statewide have to do this. And so rather than everybody submitting it in different formats, the state has a uniform online portal so that the legislators and the public can all see this in an apples to apples basis. So this information after today will get loaded into the city's TIF management portal. We'll load in all the data that you have in that PDF in these online forms, and then we'll prepare it for Rosemary's final review and submission. And then from there, just to kind of close the loop, that goes out into what's called Gateway, which is a jointly funded and operated transparency portal, both funded by the State Board of Accounts of Indiana and then the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance. And you can look at not only Fayette County TIF areas, but you can look at TIF across the state. So ultimately, all this information will update when the 2025 reports come through statewide. So with that, I will pause, see if you have any other questions on the TIF management report. Otherwise, if you're comfortable with it, we would just ask for acceptance, and we will move to then get that information finalized, get it entered in for cities, the clerk treasurer's final review and submission no later than by the April 15th state deadline.
Are there any additional questions for Adam? concerns? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Adam, thank you.
Hey, my pleasure. Quick note on, a couple of the active legislation aspects, as the mayor said, there is some redevelopment and TIF exposure here. It's sort of second and third order consequences. So it's good that the city's even thinking that far ahead at this point, because right now a lot of the headlines and news you're seeing are just looking at sort of the property tax payer benefits. The reality is we're big believers in sort of like, we'll react to what gets passed, right? And we can study that. What we are doing on our side to be as proactive as possible is, obviously we're tracking them. We're listening to the changes. We're trying to calculate those impacts. But then here shortly next month, we'll know kind of what gets enacted. We are researching those bills, and right now we have a playbook of sorts as far as a menu of options that to try to help replace and offset as many of those sort of revenue negative kind of options that would be to, one, try to help maintain a more of a stable tax rate, as well as in a world where tax rates are coming down, what other options would happen? And right now we have about 15 or 20 different things. So we are continuing to try to, be creative there so that when we get on the other side of what is ultimately approved as state law and ultimately signed by the governor, we can, give you all a legislative update from the finance side of things that we think that are going to maybe either new sort of rules or new playbooks that we're going to recommend to the redevelopment commissions that we work with, just to make sure that you all have the latest and greatest kind of tools and playbooks at your disposal. So I would say that'll likely be May by the time we've had time to kind of work through everything that was actually enacted. But just wanted to give you that update as well.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the cause? Don't think so? Okay. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 25th at noon. With that being said, if there's nothing new or nothing additional, I would accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you, everybody.
everybody.
Have a good weekend.